I'm Conrad Angel Corral, and this is the Art of Cathedral City. In today's segment, we return to the Perez Art District to meet artists Kippi Leonard and Andrée Carter. We're here in the Kippi Leonard studio, and who do I have with me? Kippi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for coming in.
Of course, our pleasure. Yeah. As you can see, we are in the studio. There are things happening here. But let's start first with you telling all of our audience about, you are here in Cathedral City now. Did you start here? How did you get here?
So I've been coming to Coachella Valley since I was a kid. My parents are snowbirds, and right? So we spent a lot of time coming down here and wanted to be here. So anyway, I'm in this space for about almost 3 years. Before this, I was in the I building in Lisa Luden's studio.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
That was my first studio.
We were just there.
Yeah, so this helped my practice a lot as I've been expanding it. So here we are.
Great. Now, my understanding from other artists that we've spoken with is that, while everyone may have a studio here in Cathedral City, they also are showing their art other places, or they have studios other places. Mm-hmm. I think you're one of those persons also?
I am.
Tell us about where else you're at.
So I currently show my work in Seattle at J. Reinhardt Gallery, and I'm back east in Greenwich, Connecticut at Samuel Owen Gallery, and then also I have representation in Scottsdale, Arizona at Costello Gallery.
Wow.
So, and I have my own little shop now too. The shop's at 1345.
You mentioned that you have a gallery or a location in Seattle.
Yes.
And I want to kind of just lift up one of these here so people can get a good look at this.
This is first look.
This is the first look, that's right. So this is art that's going to Seattle. Tell us about, what is the idea, what's the story behind these?
So the short version is, when we sold our house in Everett, Washington, in 2018, I had to pack up my art studio that was in my house. So I painted it a 1942 very dank, dark basement. And this series was born, called Late Night Jazz, because I had jazz music on, I had a glass of wine, and I was just painting. I didn't know what was going to come out of a dark basement, but here we are.
Well, that's the best way to work. Some
yeah.
Jazz and paint and a paintbrush, and away you go.
It was great. So I'm reserecting this series to take to Seattle, and my show will be in December, January.
Now, I love that you mentioned that this series already has a name. Mm-hmm. And I was looking on your website, and there are a variety of pieces of art, mm-hmm. and all of them have their own names associated with, their own titles associated. So I would like to know, and maybe our viewers would like to know, did the chicken come first or the egg? Is the title first, or is the painting and then the title comes afterwards?
The painting comes first. But usually I kind of have some ideas in mind of the title and the work, because I consider my titles part of the painting. Mm. And so I'm always really digging deep to find cool ideas to name things. And, sometimes they inspire one another. Within art, if they're titled, usually I write mine on the back, and that's where I sign my work. And people reference that as well. Like I'll meet someone and they'll go, "Oh, I saw your work at my friend's house. It was called this. We love it. Do you do commissions?" Which I do.
Always good to know.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned about signing art on the back. Quite often people are signing art in the corner in the front, or they're hiding it somewhere. Any reason you go to the back rather than the front?
Yes. As you can see, I paint flat. I typically don't paint on the wall. This is where I hang things and look at them and see if I feel like they're done. So by painting flat, I'm working around this table. So sometimes my work can hang in multiple orientations. And I found that if I sign my name on the front and they want to hang it a different direction, they've got my signature, which isn't great, on the front that they have to accommodate. So
we have somewhat of a black and white series here, and then behind us we're everything but black and white.
Yes.
So tell us a little about what are we seeing here?
So this is the underneath, under the hood, before we put the hood down on the car. So these will also be part of the jazz series, and they'll be predominantly black and white. But what I like to do is really work out all of my emotions underneath, before I start creating a sensible composition, because I believe it leads to tension in the finished work. It leads to beautiful little moments that come through. As with jazz music, it's very offbeat, or it's, you know, got a different kind of rhythm. And I think this allows the finished painting to have some of that in it.
So am I to understand that this is the bottom of the painting?
It is.
And then you're going to put something like this
Yes.
on top of it, and that bottom helps bring some different kind of life to it.
It does.
Interesting.
You can see, and maybe we can show.
Oh, I do see it now that you
underneath,
say it.
there are some jazzy underneath. And to me, that just brings the painting to life. So it's not just flat black and white.
And this is the part that I love about this segment that we're doing, is when you look at it initially, I see black and white and you know, beautiful. But then when I hear what it's about and I see these other pieces, I go, oh, there's the depth, there's the other pieces to it.
And now you know what all goes into just a black and white painting.
Yeah, not just a black and white.
Correct.
How do you know when to stop?
That's the $1,000,000 question for any artist. I've been doing it long enough, and I know my work, and I know my work and my process. Therefore, when I get to a point where I'm feeling calm, or I'm feeling, ooh, that's a cool bit of tension pulling my eye around the painting, I can call it. And I hang them on the opposite side of my studio, and I live with them for a couple of weeks and make any final movements. But I have pretty good intuition about my art at this point.
So my understanding is that you also work, aside from painting with paints, you also work with oils, which I guess are paints, and then cold wax. How does that differ?
So the oil and cold wax are basically oil-based medium.
Are they thicker?
They are. So the cold wax is like a Crisco shortening, and you mix it in with the oil paint, which allows me to add desert sand. I can add marble dust. I can add things
so you're getting
to
that
it.
dimension.
And I like to get the surfaces of old buildings in my paintings. It's really textural, yummy.
Sounds good. Well, we've seen some art here. We've seen some art behind us. I know there's more in your gallery. Why don't we take a little walk and let's talk about some more stuff.
Let's do it.
So when you're in a gallery, you must look at the gallery. Tell us a little bit about this one here.
So this painting is in my Urban Fragments series, which I use the oil and cold wax and desert sand. This is on raw linen, and what I really want to do is create a feeling of you're looking at an older building texture, but also very architectural, which is my love of big cities and seeing history.
Now I noticed a lot of your work, some of your work has very structured lines. Is there a reasoning for that? But you also throw in these curves.
Yes. As an example, this one is loosely defined by a recent trip to Buenos Aires, where I found a brutalist building, the National Library of Argentina. And Clorindo Testa was a wonderful architect and artist. The building was so incredible, I took pictures just non-stop of it. So a lot of these architectural curves, the building was all cement.
Once you say that, you boom, oh, there's that idea.
Yep, so this is very much inspired by that building. This is actually gold leafing, which you apply in a very different way. You put glue down, and then you put the sheets of gold leafing on it. Use a brush to kind of wipe away any extras, and then I can paint on top of it. These are set in custom solid walnut floater framing that I hand oil with a Danish oil.
So at all times, it's a piece of art, whether we're looking at this part or we're looking at this part.
Yes.
Right? Sounds great.
The title, the framing, and the artward.
And the artwork, it's all yours. Yes. Thank you very much for having us again.
Thank you so much.
Kippi Leonard here at one of the studios. Come on by and say hello. Well, there's some stuff to look at here.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we have changed studios. How do you know? Because look, we have some new art behind us, and we have a new artist with us, Andrée Carter. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we are glad to have you here. So let's start off by letting our audience get to know a little bit about you first and your journey here to Cathedral City.
Okay.
Where did you start and how did you come here?
Well, I was born and raised in New Orleans. I lived there 51 years. Then I moved to Seattle for 16 years. And then I moved to LA for 8 years. And 5 years ago, I ended up in Palm Desert, Cathedral City. I actually had a show before I moved here with one of the people here, and then when I started looking for a studio, once I moved here, this was like the place you want to be.
Yes. How long have you been here now in this studio?
5 years.
5 years. And you must have seen the growth of the art district here.
Absolutely, and it gets better all the time. The more artists, the better. The more camaraderie, the better. You know, the more, I don't want to say competition because it's not really competition.
Right.
It just brings better energy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And are you part of the Friday, Fourth
Oh, yes.
Friday?
Oh, yeah.
So people can come by and say hello to you. And
I'm here almost 7 days a week. So
all right. Sounds good. You're,
I have
you're
no
busy.
life.
Well, I think you probably have no life right now because, as my understanding, you have a variety of series that you're putting together that are going to go out to the world for a while.
Yes.
So tell us about some of the series that you're working on.
Well, one of the series I'm working on now is called Roots of a City, which has been shown before, but it will go to Key West. I did a residency in Key West, Florida, and they awarded me a one-person show. So that's in May. And then in March, I will show at a museum, a textile museum in Naples, and there will be 25 garments, which I'll show you later, that are going to go in that show.
You're working with string or yarn, you're working with needlepoint, you're working with paint. Tell us a little bit about what came first.
It's a great question. Several years ago, I was an academic director at a college, and I couldn't paint anymore because I was working 5 days a week. So I started painting with thread. And that led me to the idea of mixed media, or using needlepoint in with my painting. So the first body of work I did with that was called Motherlode, and I combined the needlepoint and the painting. So there was no hierarchy.
And when you combine like that, is your painting first and your needlepoint second, or is needlepoint first? How does it? When do you come together?
It's simultaneous, okay. And at some point I start deciding what's going to go into the painting. I don't do a sketchbook. Oh, I mean, I do sketchbooks, but I don't. I go straight to the canvas. And then I have a master's in fine art, so I figured I'm privileged. I can do what I want, right?
If you have a master's, you do whatever you want
right.
to do. That's the way it works.
This piece was a premonition. I did it before I went to Naples. And for some reason, there was something about it that I had to do. And when I came back in May, I did the rest of the body of work. So the whole body of work now is based on the colors, the grittiness of the city of Naples, the vegetables and fruit, and the people who are so down to earth and real.
I hear that story, but when I see this, I don't see Naples. How is it that you're putting that idea of Naples forward on your work?
Well, I think that my work is always influenced by my travels. And I think the idea of Naples is a city of grids, it's a city of textiles, it's a city of artifacts. So these paintings encompass all of that. They're narrative, even though they're non-objective. I'd like to add that I'm very open to people's life experience and their projection onto the painting. They do not have to think what I think. You know, if you look at that and you see a circus, I don't care. That's your life experience.
So we have a piece of your needlepoint here.
Yeah.
So why don't you show us what this is, and what is this, and where is this going, or have you decided that yet?
Yes, I have decided. This is a piece that I started doing a while back, and I decided it was going to go into the Naples piece, which is the next Roots of a City series.
We'll see that in just a few minutes.
And the thing about this, it's very non-objective, but it looks like a bird's eye view of meandering around a city. And so a lot of my work does look like you're looking at it from above.
Some of your art that I've seen, and we have some of the art here in the front also, is very string or yarn oriented.
Yes.
And I noticed some of the art has a lot of string that's hanging down. Is there a reason for that?
Yes.
Off the picture? Tell us a bit about where that comes from.
It's because first of all, I find wrapping obsessive compulsive, and I also find that string you can protect, but you can't really. You could easily destroy if you wrap something with string. So it's sort of a metaphor of protection, but not really being protected. So for instance, in the spy cakes, there are little pieces of paper all over the spy cakes. They're rolled up like you'd roll up the paper in what the pigeons would do reconnaissance.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they have a code. And when the code is figured out from the spy cakes, then the bad guys are going to get their just dessert. So, and there's always a little bit of humor. They're cake-like, you know, and what's the story about cakes? You put a file in the cake, you bring it to the prisoner.
Yeah. Right.
So there's always a joke with me because that's the way I survive with my humor, but there's also a seriousness about the work too. And I like dichotomy.
I see a lot of different styles. Is there a style that sells most that you've worked on, and that style that does sell most, is that your favorite style, or how does that work?
Oh, that's the best question. I am so not about selling. I was hoping you'd ask me that question. I have never gone into the art for selling. It's always been about the academic knowledge. I
think I saw somewhere in your bio that the needlepoint is kind of a throwback or an idea to women at one time. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Absolutely. So needlepoint was one of those things that women could do. And what's happened in the art world, maybe in the past, 50 years, is you start seeing threads and craft work coming into in the art world. And when I got into it, it was a practical reason, but it is an homage to women's work. And not that men don't do it. In fact, men in World War I were given needles and threads for PTSD, even though they didn't call it PTSD in World War I. So that it's a calming. There's something about pulling the thread through something. It's almost Zen-like.
All right, so let's walk around the gallery and let's look at some pieces a little bit closer. Some of this art is going to be traveling across the United States, across the world. Tell us about this piece here. Where's this? What is this about?
This body of work is going to the Textile Museum in Naples, Italy. Each piece represents either something I saw in a museum, or a home I went to, or looking down at the ground.
And is this the art, or is this the beginning and there's going to be more color? Or
Great question. They're going to be cut out. They're not traveling in these. They're going to be cut out, and my plan is to make little protective bags for each one of them out of this gold fabric. And they're metaphors for christening dresses or priest garments. This piece is called La La Land. I lived in LA for 8 years, but I've been going to LA for 50 years. So what I love about LA, one of the many things, it's the variation of what it is. It's not, a lot of people have an image of LA that it's only Hollywood. Of course it's not.
There's so much more. That. Why hanging down?
Because I feel as though the fragility is more representative if I leave some of the pieces. It's like almost like, oh, what happened? Did she forget to finish it? And then it's that thought process of why.
You can tell that Andrée works in a variety of different styles. This is completely different than what we've seen so far. It looks like a book, looks like a Bible, it looks like a brick. You tell me what it is.
Well, it's all of the above.
Oh, good.
But if you see, they're thick and they're weighty, and people say that they look like they could be little boxes of candy that you could open up. Yeah.
Oh yes.
So these are on canvas.
And is it an actual box, and then there are candies inside it? What? Okay. It's all very unique. Andrée Carter is her name. You're welcome to come down to the studio and say hello and get to see these pieces up close and personal. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.